Hey guys. This is like the Spring and Flowers Ramble. I figured I'd probably start doing these when a banner particularly hits hard. I tend to be a little bit more of an emotionally driven person. I tend to be very empathic to things. And particularly when they deal with trauma or resonate with me on a deep level with things that may have happened to me in the past, I ruminate with them and I just need to get them out of my brain mostly. So I'll probably do more of these kind of unscripted rambles. It's not going to be a deep dive into anything really. It's not going to be anything that's going to be edited or anything like that, unofficial. I don't really expect people to listen, I guess. Or maybe, I don't know. Whatever, you guys. If you guys take something out of this, that's great. But I'm gonna be honest, it's less for you guys and more for me just to ramble to get things out of my brain. And I hope that maybe people will listen. But that's not the forefront. The forefront is that I just need to get things out of my brain. I know I've said that like 20 times. Anyway, and this is totally unscripted, no edit, so you guys might hear background noise or whatever the case may be. But this time I wanted to talk about Xavier's myth, Fallen Crown, and it was really interesting to me because as someone who has gone through trauma herself in the past, I think they portrayed the way someone would deal with reoccurring trauma in a really great way. And I think the way Xavier dealt with it is kind of the way that a lot of people deal with it. Xavier had a wall up the entire time. And I'm not talking just like a brick wall. I'm talking like a steel barrier. Like it was a very large wall. But the interesting part of that wall, and the interesting part of when a lot of people go through trauma, or at least I can speak for myself at least, is that while you still have this wall up, you still continue to move forward. And I feel like, and I was thinking about this last night when I was laying in bed, the wall is less to keep people out and more of a way to keep yourself in, or at least for me, the more I thought about it and the more I think about like how I dealt with things, it was more of a way to kind of keep myself together, because if that wall came down, there was nothing left for me. And it's interesting because I might be projecting a little bit for Xavier, but it felt the same way, where he dealt with MC dying so many times and knowing this traumatic secret that she was the sacrifice. And I should probably say spoilers. If you haven't read Shooting Stars or Where Stars Scatter, just know that I will be discussing spoilers in here, so you've been warned. But he'd seen MC die and knew that she was the source of it, and he may have just figured out that she was the source, but he wasn't willing to keep it a secret, or he wasn't willing to keep the lie up. But still having that sort of trauma, it's like he worked so hard. I think that was the hardest part, is that he made her queen in hopes that when he left that she wouldn't sacrifice herself, and she still ended up doing it anyway. And it's sort of this continued theme of failure, unintentional failure is what I would call it, of trying to do the right thing and just not having it turn out the way you want it to turn out. And there's gonna be cuss words in here too. I'm sorry, guys. But it nothing sucks. it sucks to see the good in people, or to see the good in a situation, or to hope. You know, it's like your intentions were good, but the outcome was not. And that's how Xavier's story kind of feels, is that he has intentions of being a good person and having these good outcomes, but they just don't work out in his favor, and that really sucks. and I think I'm just very empathic to that. I forgot where I was going with this. I guess where I was leading to was that he may have these walls up. I'm gonna go back to the wall thing, but he continues to move forward. And I don't think it's out of him at this point, you know, specifically King Xavier. It's less about him like wanting to fix things and more out of a necessity to keep himself together. I think there's a point in any traumatic experience, or when it's a reoccurring traumatic experience, that you just have to keep going. Otherwise, you can't. That's the best way I know how to explain it. And that's sort of how I felt with Xavier, was that he was just at a point where he was angry. Rightfully so. I think he was rightfully angry, and he had this wall up. But he still continued to help MC, still continued to, you know, I think even him killing the revenants and wanting, you know, he wasn't trying to fix Cinderspell. I didn't ever get the idea that he was trying to fix it. In reality, it really felt like he was just living in his failure. He was like perpetually just living in this idea of his failure. But each time MC popped up, it was like this inherent need to help her. She may not have remembered him, but him going on the adventures with her and having her under his wing and taking her into the castle, I think that's the only way he knows how to exist. Actually, I know that's the only way he knows how to exist. And I think anytime he sees her, it's like a trigger in the back of his brain. Like at this point, I don't even think it's like a forward thought for him. I think it's just a inherent lizard brain reaction of helping her. Because it's the only thing it's like the only thing his body even knows how to do. Like not just his brain, but it's the only his like body even emotionally reacts to it. And really what I think I'm getting at is that this game does such a great job at really portraying how people will react in certain situations. They did the same thing with Spring and Flowers, which was the last one that I kind of rambled about. But Xavier's, I think they did a really good job for how someone like Xavier, specifically like Xavier, I don't think any of the other guys would react this way. But I think Xavier is a prime character to portray something like this in the correct way. And it's really nice to be able to see these sorts of things be portrayed correctly in a game, because it's hard to portray something like this, especially if you've never gone through anything like this, or you haven't experienced it, or you don't, you know. There's something deeper about a body reacting to trauma or reacting to these triggers that just kind of work automatically. And it's hard to sort of portray that in a character. And I think they did a really awesome job with it, because it really did feel that Xavier was just reacting out of necessity, at least at the beginning. Towards the end, it definitely was more conscious about how he was reacting to things. But at the beginning, it definitely, while he was very standoffish, and I know a lot of people really loved standoffish Xavier. I really loved his standoffish Xavier. And and they could say he was broody and upset and emo and mad and and I'm gonna say I love mad Xavier. But I appreciate that at the same time they did a really, really good job at making it feel that he was just sort of existing at this point. It takes I think it takes a lot of energy to have those walls up. Even if they're already up and they're there, it takes a lot of energy to have those walls up, consciously or subconsciously. I think I could imagine if anybody were to ask Xavier how he was doing, he would perpetually say that he was tired. And I remember being at a point in my life at some point where someone would ask how I was doing, and I would just say I'm just tired, always, like perpetually just exhausted. And you could sleep, or are you sleeping enough? And that's not what it is. It's not a tired. It's not a sleep tired. It's just exhausted. It's a mental exhaustion. And I feel like if anybody were to ask Xavier that at the beginning of the myth, he'd just perpetually say that he was just tired. And that makes me sad for him. My heart really hurt for Xavier, particularly at the beginning of the myth. My heart really hurt for him. I wish I could have given him a hug and shared the pain with him, just because of having dealt with it before. And it was just sad. I think to round this all out, because I've been talking for about 15 minutes now, my heart really hurt for Xavier. I think I had a lot of empathy for him, because I have been in a position where those walls are up and you can do nothing but just move forward in an exhausted state of mind, like a zombie. And I would never wish that on anybody. Most of all, the hot guy that I'm 3D dating. The nicest one, all of them are nice, but the sweetest one, the one I feel deserves it the least. I wanted to take it away from him, and I wanted to just hug him and take the burden from him and be like, don't worry, I've dealt with this before, it's fine, I can deal with it, but I don't want you to be sad. And part of that might be my people pleasing, because I just never want to see anybody upset. But again, most of all, the sweetest of the 5 guys. So I just needed to get that out of my brain. My heart just really hurt for him. And I appreciate Infold for portraying a state of tired mental exhaustion and boundaries being pushed, and steel walls being put up, thick steel walls being put up, not out of trying to keep people out, but more so trying to keep yourself in, because it's the only thing that's keeping you together. And I appreciate that. So anyway, that's the ramble I think I wanted to do. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say. I think I've said everything I want to say. Again, this is just a ramble video. It's less emotional than Spring and Flowers. I wasn't expecting this one to be as emotional, because I think I was more prepared for what I was about to talk about, which is something that's inherently sad anyways. Also, I did a lot of crying during Xavier's myth because it was very sad. And I think a lot of my feelings got out during that because there was a lot of parts where I just sort of felt for him. I felt for the way he was talking and how he was existing, and so I don't have any tears left. I don't have any tears left for him, because I've used them all on him already. Xavier, I hope you're happy about that. But that's all I've got. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. At least those who stuck around and decided to listen to my ramble. Again, I think I might just do these when I need to get something out of my brain. It's gonna be incoherent probably, or coherent enough at least. Hopefully you guys get what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna do my normal intro or outro because these aren't meant to bring in anybody. If you want to subscribe, I'm of course more than happy to have you guys around. But this is not normal content. It's not going to be regular content. Unless the banners start getting real good and everything just brings emotion out of me. The wedding one didn't do that. But this one definitely struck an emotional chord with me. And I'm always happy when it does because it just makes me more emotionally invested in the game. Not that I'm already totally emotionally invested in this game, but I like when it makes me sad because it helps me feel a little bit more. I like remembering how I used to feel because it reminds me how far I've come. And I think at the end of Xavier's thing, apparently I had more to say. At the end of Xavier's myth, I think that when the sun was coming out and stuff, it's sort of that allegory of finally you're out of the bad, and him restarting everything was, I think it was very lighthearted and very nice and a very good representation of finally being out of trauma. Again, I think Envolve just does a really good job. They have some really big bangers, and I think they do a really good job at portraying recovery and experiences that real people have gone through, and making them feel seen and heard, and almost like a love letter to saying, these things have happened to you, and it's almost like being recognized. And sometimes that's enough for people, is just to be recognized and recognize that you've gone through these kinds of things. And I always like when there's a happy ending, or at least like a allegory to getting out of these kinds of things, because I think even, at least for myself, I'm gonna speak for myself on this one. I forget sometimes what I got when I went through, and I forget that I am in such a good place right now. That sometimes it's cool to have a reminder that, man, I went through so much, man. It sucked. The world is so much brighter, and the sun, as Xavier said it, the sun is out, and I'm not cold anymore. And that's really awesome for me, and it's really awesome for anybody else who's been through this situation and has gotten out of it. And just know, again, I said it on Spring and Flowers, but anybody who's gone through trauma, or has gone through that state of being a zombie who's just trying to continue to move forward, because if you don't, there's nothing else. And if you're in a better place right now, I am so proud of you. I'm so happy for you, and I know how hard it can be to get out of something that's terrible. And I know how hard it is for recovery afterwards, and just, if you're playing this game and Xavier's meant hit you as well, I'm I'm not surprised. And honestly, your feelings are so valid about how the whole Xavier myth made you feel, because I think it really did a good job at I particularly for myself felt very seen with what I dealt with, and moving forward is hard. Moving forward during those times is hard, and to be able to do it and get to the end is amazing. It feels so good. It feels warm. Anyway, okay, I'm just gonna ramble now. Okay, anyways, that's all I have. I've been rambling for like 20 minutes now. Again, no outro, but if you want to subscribe, you're more than welcome to. Just know that these are not going to be regular videos. They're going to be videos when inspiration strikes, or at least the emotional chord strikes. But that is all I have to ramble about today. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your week. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Know that if you've gone through terrible things and have made it out, I'm very proud of you. And I know that it's hard. And I know that it's hard afterwards as well. But I also know that for myself, I feel a lot better most times and happier. And the world is a lot brighter. And I'm happy about that. So I hope that's the same for you guys as well. I hope you're all doing okay. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all. And as always, stay safe out there, hunters. Both emotionally and physically.